Hey, how's it going? Drosy here, back with another Castle Nathria Disc Priest guide. Today we're looking at Hungering Destroyer in Heroic. This is a fight that's just perfectly built for Disc Priest. Probably the best fight in all of Castle Nathria, where as a Disc Priest you can make such a big difference. In a way, you can single-handedly carry this fight on your own, especially if you have two Disc Priests in your raid. I'm going to be going over why that is and everything. We're looking at this one fight in particular. We're going to be looking at the logs to break down where we want to use our Spirit Shell ramps, and where we want to use our other cooldown and everything like that. And then we're going to be jumping into the replay itself to see how it's done and walk through my real-time thought process of every step of the fight. Now I know usually I try to show you an orange parse here, that way you can see how things are meant to be, like when you play really well. But in this fight, it's so close. It's a 94, 95 is orange parse, and you see at the end they actually get a really good Spirit Shell off, and like a second before next Desolate comes out for a huge amount of HPS, the boss dies. So I'm treating this as a orange. I'm treating this as a win. You're not gonna convince me otherwise, but yeah. Okay, let's jump right into it. We're gonna look at the damage taken chart. So the first reason, maybe the most important reason that Disc is so good on this fight is the damage comes in big blasts of complete raid-wide damage, right? So you have three abilities on this fight. There's Desolate, Expunge, and Consume. And that's basically all the mechanics of Hungry Destroyer, right? So, and all of them are very simple. Like Desolate just straight up does raid-wide damage. It's a big nuke to every single player, which is perfect for a Spirit Shell. Expunge also hits every single player with the circle and the orb. Also good candidate for Spirit Shell, even though we're not going to be using it there actually. And then Consume is once again, just massive damage to each player. And outside of that, there's not really that much else going on. You look at this damage chart here, and there's just big spikes, right? So this is Desolate, Expunge, Consume, Desolate, Expunge, Consume. Actually, it's not exactly in that order. It's more Desolate, Expunge, Desolate, Expunge, Consume, Desolate, Expunge, Desolate, Expunge, Consume. But yeah, basically, and it happens to line up really well in that we're going to be able to Spirit Shell a whole bunch of these. So, of course, when we think about where we want to Spirit Shell, we always want to use it as early as possible on big damage. That way we get the most uses out of it throughout the fight. And of course, this overlaps with hero timing, which is perfect. It means we can probably ramp the entire raid, especially if you PI yourself. So we're going to be using our first Spirit Shell right here, around 20 seconds in, which means we'll probably start ramping right, on pull, a couple seconds into pull. Next time, and this will be on a Desolate, because Desolate always comes first. Next time we get it, it will be 120, around here. So it just misses the Expunge. We'll probably be up around here. We'll just miss Expunge, but it'll be ready for the Consume, which is right after. So we'll use it here. That's 130. Next one, 230, is on another Desolate. Right? It's always Desolate, Expunge, Desolate, Expunge. And then after that, 330 will be the next Consume back here, which... Oh, actually, no. This is a Consume, right? So there will be another Desolate here. So first Desolate, we're going to Spirit Shell, and then after that it's going to be the first Consume, and then it'll be the next Desolate after that, and then it'll be the next Desolate again. And basically it's going to be almost off cooldown. There's going to be a couple seconds where you're just going to hold it, but yeah, it's going to be pretty self-explanatory when you get into the fight actually. In terms of barrier, we're going to be using it on the Consumes based on kind of based on how your raid looks like. The best case is to have a Spear Link totem on every Consume, 1, 2, and maybe 3 if you have more. If you can't get a Spirit Link on each one, then that's when you want to use your barrier. It's right when everyone gets out of the range of Consume, but they're still being pulled in, and then there's miasmas going out and the Consume itself, and your entire raid is stacked, and it's you're gonna get a huge value out of your barrier there. Pain Suppress, in this fight you kind of just use it to save your tank whenever you need to. There's not really any good way to plan it out. Kind of just don't overlap with your tank's CDs. One good spot that I found many times I had to use Pain Suppress is after Consume, right? Or at the end of consume, everyone's really far from the boss, right? And you have to run back to the boss. Tank usually gets there first, might take a couple smacks. And oftentimes they drop pretty low there because, yeah, some healers don't heal as well running. Also topping people off from consume, so you might miss a tank. But yeah, try to keep watch for that. Think about the tank when you're coming back from a consume. Okay, perfect. Yeah, pretty simple timings for this boss. Once again, just kind of lines up well, like with your 1 minute cooldown. So let's jump into the replay and see how it plays out.
If Jossie could duplicate himself,
all right, let's see how this goes.
That would make it even better, but we can rock and roll with what we got. Hero.
So on pull, you see we get hero. I'm gonna PI myself and Desolate 1 coming in 19 seconds. That means if we start ramping right now, it's already gonna work out. All right, here's the second reason why Disc is so incredible in this fight, and often overlooked, and probably even more important than the fact that you can get big HPS, is that you see these on my raid frames, these 3 blue guys. These 3 are the miasmas. Oftentimes just 4, depends on how big your raid is. But yeah, these guys, as you should know, you can't heal them. The only way to heal them is through, draining the life of yourself by standing next to them. But you can apply absorbs to them. That includes power shield, and that does include spirit shell. Essentially, you're breaking this fight's mechanics if you put up a massive spirit shell on the people with miasmas, and then they just tank through the Desolate without any help needed. So the very first ramp here, and actually every single spirit shell ramp, you're gonna make sure that you always have atonement on the people with miasmas.
Games are on now.
You can see here, this is my very first ramp. Desolate's coming out in 9 seconds, and I just activated spirit shells, so I'm gonna ramp for that 9 seconds with damage, and then it'll come out perfectly on time. Everybody's covered here. So yeah, I was able to get everyone covered, of course, because of hero and PI. So this is gonna be a really good ramp right here. One thing I want to bring up is that there is a couple of different strategies that people run for Hunking Destroyer. I think for heroic, this one that we're running here is the most simple. It's gonna be a little more taxing on the healers, but yeah, I mean, with the Disc Priest, honestly, it makes it so much easier. Basically, everyone just stands in a big line. All the range DPS and melee DPS are just in one area in front of or behind Hungering. The ejections go out to the side so that no one in the line gets hit. And then the miasmas make sure not to overlap each other. And you kind of just, yeah, basically drain out everybody and just make sure you're topped up. It's going to mean that the people without miasmas are going to be taking a lot of the drain damage. Yeah, so if your healers are not that great and you can't keep up with the damage, you might have to try a different strategy, maybe keep people out of the miasmas a bit more.
Since we're gonna be all stacking around.
So here we go. First Desolate comes out, the shields are already up on everybody. Look at that, beautiful. So every single person is basically full life. Our tank and our one player here somehow took a bit of damage. Maybe their atonements were applied early, so it dropped off a bit earlier. Maybe they drained too much health. But anyways, everybody, and most importantly, the 3 miasma people are full life.
Big deal. Go ahead and spread out.
Here we go, here comes the Expunge.
When you're full on health, feel free to grab and soak your own.
Not spiritualizing this, so we'll let our other healers handle this. We put up a mini ramp with our 1 Radiance here, but it's not too big of a deal.
Games are running out.
Here you want to make sure you don't have people overlapping their miasmas, so they're taking a lot of damage from each other, but it's fine. I mean, nothing you can do about it. You can't heal them or anything. The best you can do is just standing there to give them some more health. Another thing that's important to know for Disc Priest is you always want to Spear Shell on the Desolates. So actually it's interesting because Expunge is the move that actually ends up killing people. But you don't want to Spear Shell that, because what happens is if you Spear Shell a Desolate, people are going to be topped up before the Expunge. And that's what makes Expunge dangerous, right? Like, the Desolate comes out, and if you don't top everyone off, the Expunge circles are massive around each player. And that's when they overlap and actually kill people. So by Spirit Shelling Desolate, and keeping people topped up before expunge, you're actually saving people from the expunge itself, and it's better than just shielding the expunge, because the circles are still going to be really big if you're low life and have a big shield.
You have 40 there in the circle. Or you're taking a lot of health loss just because you're getting soaked by the other miasma.
Yeah, outside of the ramp window, again, we just keep automaton on the tank, keep on smiting to conserve your mana. People are damaged, but we're just gonna have to let our other healers handle this. So, Spear Shell has just come off cooldown, and we look at the timer, consume. So we're gonna miss this expunge, obviously, because we don't have time to put it radiances. But like we said, we plan for the consume anyways, comes in 16 seconds, we should start ramping right now. Once again, when you ramp, make sure you have atonements up on all of the miasmas, which we do here, which is perfect. Here we go, consume comes out. Yeah, so we actually have two. Let me pause this here. We have two Resto Shamans here, so technically both of the consumes would be covered by Spear Link, and actually the third Spear Link is 3 minutes after the first, so one shaman can cover two consumes with Spear Link, but both our shamans use Spear Link here. Just a bit of miscommunication. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna save my barrier for next consume. Not much going on. The Desolate 4 is the one we're going to be hitting with Spirit Shot. 20 seconds. Spirit Shot comes up in 5, so it'll be ready on that time for that. You started ramping here already. Yeah, first thing you do, make sure Tomans are on all the miasmas. There we go, start ramping up. Desolate comes out in 5. It's perfect. That's just finished doing damage for Spirit Shell. Yeah, so you see here the expunge comes out, right? Because we Spear Shell the Desolate before this, most people are pretty high life. The circles are really small, and no one's gonna have trouble overlapping. Whereas the one before where I didn't Spear Shell, a lot of people were lower. That's why you want 2 Disc Priests if possible, but not mandatory actually. Get the ejections, make sure you don't overlap anybody along your way. Something to know about the ejections, they're actually a lot skinnier than you may imagine. So let me back up a bit here. So you see this blue circle is huge, right? It's like it looks like it might have hit these guys here or something, but actually it's quite a thin line from the middle of the boss to you. So yeah, just like you still be careful about it because it does one shot you if you get hit by 2 of them. But yeah, you can kind of step up close to it and still be able to dodge it like you see here. Everybody out. Next consume. This is where the second Spirit Shell should have gone, and instead I put up my barrier. So I ran out of mana here actually. I see I'm trying to cast Radiance, I don't even have it. That's a bit of poor management of my mana. I had some time to drink my potion. Yeah, just keep watch for that. Make sure your mana approximately lines up with the boss's health. Yeah, you can see here, oh my gosh. So he's literally casting Desolate right now. 0.3 seconds left. I have massive shields on every single person here. Spirit Shell just finished, right? It would have bumped my healing up by at least a couple 100 points for the average. And of course, the boss dies before he finishes the cast. But yeah, I mean, there you have it. Alright, so jumping back into the logs, let's see how the healing was for myself. You can see here 1, 2, 3 Spirit Shells and a half Next one spike would be right here, approximately on the 1 minute marks here. 30 seconds, 130, 230, 330. Awesome, perfect, looks good. This is Desolate, this is the Consume, and Desolate, and another Desolate. So I use my barrier on the Consume. Don't remember exactly where that is in this line, but if we had gotten a good spear, if we haven't overlapped the spear links, gotten one from each, I would have used barrier probably on another Desolate where people were stacked, somewhere where I didn't have spear shell up. Yeah, kind of use your own judgment for that. I did not use pain suppress, which is fine. Like pain suppress, once again, is something you kind of hold for tanks emergencies. Our tanks played really well, didn't have any issues, so I didn't have a chance to use it there. It's better to hold on to it in case your tank needs it than to just try to use it to get value out of it, because yeah, if you just lower the damage the tanks take for a little bit, it doesn't really do anything if it doesn't save them. You never know, maybe the last couple seconds you're gonna need it, so just hold on to it until you find a good use for it. So there you have it. That's Hungarian Destroyer on Heroic. I love this fight as disc. You know, it feels so good when you can get like this massive spear shell and then just literally no one takes damage from Desolate. Yeah, and then people with miasmas are like, oh look, everything is fine. There's no issues at all. And yeah, you can really swing a fight with your own belt playing here. So hopefully you learned a lot from this video. Like and subscribe if you want to see more. I got the other bosses in progress. I'm working on it right now. So yeah, definitely stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. See you next time.